A lot has obviously evolved since the first crises started hitting on digital media in 2017. Originally, a lot of the talk was around brand safety, which was just content that was not appropriate for any brands, whether it was monetizable or not. Things like terrorism videos or violent, graphic violent type videos or triple X type videos, things like that were just not brand safe for any brand. From there, it's evolved more to focus more on brand suitability. A lot of the partners and platforms have done a great job of drawing that wall with brand safety. In other words, things are either brand safe or they're not. It's pretty cut and dry. There's a lot of agreement in the industry on what brand safety is. Brand suitability has a lot of different flavors. It's a lot more subjective and relevant for different brands. And we've worked very hard with partners in the industry like the 4As, the Advertiser Protection Bureau, IAB, GARM, ANA, on helping to define the various shades of brand suitability in terms of like low, medium, and high risk across the main categories that are represented.
How do you see the buyers dealing with the current situation in terms of their goals around brand suitability?
So specifically talking about the current situation, it's been a little different for every different type of brand and client partner. And we've had conversations across the industry at other holding companies, in terms of what their brands are doing in different industry discussions. Some brands, initially have taken kind of a one size fits all approach in terms of limiting content across their buys. Other brands have more of an aggressive approach. And very quickly, we kind of got advisories out and discussions with each of our clients and client teams to have more of a surgical approach, right? In that not just with the current situation with COVID, but along any topic in brand suitability, there's various shades and various semantics and meanings of the content in the page. So not all content is harmful for a brand or inappropriate for a brand. Where on the other side, brands may feel no matter what, certain content is not where they want to have their paid media or their media show up at all. So, specifically with the current situation with COVID, you have a lot of content that's out there, whether it's on premium news sites or entertainment sites, sports sites, you name it, referencing, the COVID-19 coronavirus content or crisis, that is very positive in nature. It's about how the communities are coming together, or it's very kind of objective or innocent in nature of top 10 books to read your children while you're at home during the COVID-19 crisis. With some technologies or some approaches, that content would be 100% avoided as well. Where in other ways, with a more surgical and specific approach, the positive content or the content that is kind of down the middle is treated like any other content that the brand wants to advertise on.
So how about the tools? We hear a lot about contextual tools. We hear a lot about machine learning tools. What technology is exciting to you, or what technology needs to bubble up, either that you guys create internally or from the brand safety companies themselves?
It's a good question. I mean, a lot has evolved over the last few years, where it just came, from, what I like to say is using an axe as approach to now using a scalpel. So and a lot of the keyword technologies that have been employed for years really just focused on the URL. So if it was, newssite.com/crisis, and crisis was on your keyword blacklist, you wouldn't run on that page regardless of what the content of the page was. And a lot has evolved over the last couple of years. IS's purchase of Admantix late last year, that looks more to the true meaning of the page, the context and semantics of the page as well, to understand, is this a positive article? Is it a neutral article? Is it aligned with what the goals and the settings are for that partner in that account? To really get a better understanding using various methods, whether it's machine learning or natural language processing. Every company has kind of a different way of doing it. I think we'll see a continued trend with what we were just talking about, is that really kind of understanding the meaning of the page, how users and consumers may consume the content or react to it, There's a lot of different studies that have been, published out there. Some, by the vendors themselves, some independent, really trying to understand, what a user thinks about a brand on a certain page. Are they favorable? Are they not favorable? Are they leaning in? Are they sitting back? There's different analysis saying that, on one hand, consumers really are engaged on long, lengthy premium news articles, and then the other side of the coin, you've seen, studies say, yes, they're very engaged, but they also don't want to interact with an ad at that moment, or that particular type of brand at that moment. So I think in terms of innovation and continuing the trend, really finding, making it easier and surfacing content that is a good fit for a specific brand. So whether you're selling automobiles or lawnmowers or consumer packaged goods or travel, right? The content that will be the most appropriate, not necessarily from a brand suitability standpoint, but actual unlocking the media value and making the advertising dollars go further so that you get the best ROI and achieve the KPIs for a brand.
We've spoken today about brand suitability and digital media primarily. Are there other platforms where brand safety, is an issue or could become an issue that you're addressing?
So brand safety is table stakes, right? There's content that is defined in a way that is not appropriate for any brand and doesn't want to be associated with. So brand suitability, again, there's different variances and nuances to it, whether it's CTV and OTT or any other form of medium that media that evolves. I think it's the same approach, right? There's content, there's the platform, there's the environment, there's the adjacencies that all are or should be taken into consideration when determining if it's suitable for a brand. And that includes the kind of expanded approach or definition of brand suitability and brand safety, right? Is how many ad units are on the page? How often is the content refreshed? What's the original source of the content and the platform? What does the platform or the partner allow on their content, even if it's not the page you're on? What else are they doing in business to be able to provide content to users? So I think it's it's looked on the same lens. So just as like the walled gardens have evolved and came to be, content, whether it's user generated or professionally produced, is all looked at as what is this content, what's the source, what does it mean for the brand, do I want to be next to it? I think with some of the newer platforms like in CTV and OTT, a lot of the conversations the last year or so has been more focused around fraud, malware, associated with it as a concern, to be able to make sure that what you're buying for a brand and spending those media dollars are actually arriving and landing on the platform and the partner that you expect, versus another entity pretending to be an OTT CTV platform.